Hello, good evening, my correct, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. This is me. I know I'm starting like 4 minutes late. Please bear with me. I have so many things dragging my attention this period. Please, if you can hear me, say hello in the comments. Just say hello, 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 hello. I know that today is Sunday and we're supposed to be resting and preparing for the week, but I felt we should just have one quick session today. Please, if you can hear me, say hello in the comments. Okay, my people, yeah. So Joy Best, thank you for joining me. Abiba, thank you for joining me. Chidozie, thank you for joining me. Efe Okeya, thank you so much for joining me today. And I won't waste too much time today. It's just for us to discuss this update concerning the category-based selection that they've just announced. Ola today, thank you for joining me. Kenny Tales, thank you for joining me. Happy Sunday to you wherever you are. Thank you for taking your time from your weekend. You're supposed to be resting to join me this Sunday. And you can see I didn't do any makeup. I just carried my face bare like that. I just said, let me have this session. Abby, is it not good? Okay, so yeah. So I won't waste time. I'll just go straight to talking about the category-based selection. And I feel that there are a lot of people that would benefit from this session, especially with the ongoing changes in immigration. You know, today they will announce one thing, tomorrow they will change it to another thing, next tomorrow. Like at the beginning of this year, they said they were going to pause parents and grandparents sponsorship, and then all of a sudden, again, sometime last week, on Friday, I think on Friday, they announced that they are going to resume parents and grandparents sponsorship, which is good news. So you can see that immigration keeps changing all the time, and we don't have control over the changes, but we can always prepare ourselves towards the changes that are occurring so that we can take advantage of these changes. And as we are aware, they made an announcement concerning the category-based selection. They changed it. They said the memo specifically said in Canada applicants. That's what the memo said. The memo said they were making the changes to strengthen the pathway and also to give opportunity to people who are in Canada to gain their PR status. So if you are outside Canada and you are waiting for an opportunity to get an invitation to apply under the category-based selection, if you are outside Canada, the only one that I think might benefit people is the French category. That's the only one I think might benefit people outside Canada. The other categories that they mentioned, although the memo says in Canada applicants, I think the other category that they mentioned, the other categories that they changed the occupations, will favor more of in Canada applicants before they might start considering people who are outside Canada. So it looks like if you don't have French language skills and if you are outside Canada, it looks like getting an invitation to apply under express entry might be very, very challenging. But I am not saying this is a fixed thing. There might be changes in the future. We don't know. With what is going on with Canada and the US, trade wars and all of that, I feel that Canada would still reduce its rules on immigration and allow people to come in. So, yeah. So if you are among those who are outside Canada, hoping that you can get an opportunity to come in through the category-based selection for express entry, I can't really say if this pathway now is a viable pathway for you, except you have French language skills. If you have French language skills, you have very good scores in French language. What you do is you have to choose your primary language as French. And that is when you will get invited for the category-based draw, right? So if you have French language skills and you're outside Canada, you have to choose French as your primary language, not English. If you choose English, you will not be selected. So you have to choose French as a primary language for you to be selected for the category-based draw for express entry, especially under the French category. For the other categories like healthcare, STEM, education that they announced, because they introduced the education and they put different occupations, like about 5 occupations under education. And then which one again? Agriculture is still there. Agriculture is only one occupation, which is butchers. Then I think that's all, about 6 of them. These categories, if you're outside Canada, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they will consider people who are outside Canada, because I know that a lot of people who are teachers, like early childhood educators, teachers, primary school teachers, secondary school teachers, are actually gearing towards taking advantage of this opportunity. But the chances, if they would select you from outside Canada, we do not know yet. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 months, we would know if people who are outside Canada can participate. So far, they've only done draws for the French category and provincial nomination and Canadian experience class. That's just to tell you that they are more tilted towards people with French language skills than the other categories. It's not as if they will not do a draw for the other categories. They will, but they would want to focus more on people who are already in Canada than people who are outside Canada. So if you're outside Canada, the only thing I can advise you for now is either you learn French to take advantage of the express entry category-based selection, or you start looking for jobs in the rural communities selected under the Rural Community Immigration Program. That's the only one I can recommend. And then AIP as well. Those are the options I can typically recommend for anybody if you're having or finding it difficult to find a pathway to actually get permanent residency instead of coming as a student. So, I mean, it doesn't, I know that it's not easy to start learning French now, especially for those who, I mean, age is a factor, those who have age as a factor. It's not easy to start learning French to write the French language exam. So I would recommend combining both learning French and as well looking for jobs, especially if your occupation is actually in demand under the category-based selection. If your occupation is in demand, I would say combine learning French and also looking for job opportunities in the rural communities. I know that in one of my live sessions, I did mention that I was going to be pasting the website of those communities, but they have not published anything yet. The websites that are in existence are still the ones that they use for the rural northern immigration program, which I mean is not relevant to the new program. So there was no point publishing those websites on the community tab when they are old websites. Once they start announcing the website, then I'll start creating videos for each community and what they are looking for. But for now, if you're outside Canada and you're looking for opportunities, I would say focus on job search in the rural communities selected under the RCIP, or learn French. If you are thinking there's a possibility for category-based selection, there could be. For now, we don't know until they do the draws for the category-based selection. And if there are people who are outside Canada that got invitation, then I would say yes. If you're outside Canada, you have a chance, you know. But if you're inside Canada, this is an opportunity for you to pivot. If your occupation is not in the category-based selection, then I would say it's better for you to pivot. You just have 6 months for you to pivot. But you have to look at your work experience, as in your work permit as well. It's easy to say you are a cook, right? It's easy to get a job offer as a cook, especially for, our African restaurants who are always looking for cooks and all of that. If you're able to get a job offer as a cook in in such places, all you need is just 6 months work experience, and then you can go ahead and switch your tier code to cook in the express entry pool, and then you get invited under the category-based selection for trades. Then for those who are insurance agents and insurance people, because they are now part of this category-based selection for STEM. If you are an insurance person, or if you are not an insurance person, you can go ahead and look for a job with any of the insurance companies as an insurance agent, since they are looking for insurance people. If let's say you are working as an administrative assistant, right, and you're finding it difficult to get your PR, go and look for a job as an insurance agent in any of the insurance companies, like maybe TD Insurance, RBC Insurance, CIBC Insurance. Get 6 months work experience, update your express entry profile, and then you're good to go. You'll be able to get an invitation to apply under that category instead of remaining in one particular occupation that is not giving you opportunity to get your permanent residence. I've seen this situation where somebody is fixed on staying on the occupation that will not lead to PR. If you are working in an occupation that will not lead to permanent residency, please pivot. There is no harm in switching occupations that would lead you to permanent residence. I know a lot of people want to pivot into healthcare because that's the easiest. But there are other occupations that they've also listed that can help you gain your PR. You know, it's just sad that a lot of people who are in the tech occupation, that's information technology industry, their occupations were removed apart from cybersecurity. I think I only saw cybersecurity on that list. Yeah. Most of them, their occupations were removed from the STEM category. So now this group of people are stuck and they actually have very good scores in the express entry pool. It's just that Canada is no longer doing draws for category-based selection for STEM. So the only option this group of people have is the Canadian experience class. Now, when will the Canadian experience class draw come down? Nobody knows. It's coming down a little bit, but we don't know when it will come down to the level of, let's say, 480, 450, 460. Meanwhile, for category-based selection, they could do a draw and you could see somebody who has a 460 score being picked. So if you find yourself in such a situation where your occupation used to be on the category-based list and it's no longer there, you have to pivot, right? Switch. If you were a software engineer before and your tier code has been in software engineering and you've been waiting for them to do a draw and there is no draw, now that they only have cybersecurity on the list, please, if you can switch to cybersecurity, as in terms of getting work experience as a cybersecurity person, please switch. Don't remain on that tier code and you're not getting invited. If you remain on one tier code and you're not getting invited, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. 6 months work experience is enough for you to get an invitation to apply, and then you apply for permanent residence instead of remaining on that tier code and nothing is happening. And meanwhile, other people around you are getting an invitation to apply. So look at the list critically, and if it's possible to combine what you're doing with occupation that is also on the category-based selection, please do it. Let's say you are working as an administrative officer, I'm using as an example, and then on the category-based list, there's occupation for social workers or social community support workers, right? If it's possible for you to get, let's say, another job offer, I know it's going to be difficult because, I mean, it's your strength. You have to look at your level of strength. But some people don't mind. They can do 2 jobs. If you can do 2 jobs and work as a support worker, community support worker, go ahead and get that job offer. And then after 6 months, you already qualify for the category-based selection. And then you change your tier code in the pool and you'll be able to get an invitation to apply, instead of waiting for when the Canadian experience class scores will come down. Okay, so that's the best advice I can give for those who are looking to get an invitation to apply under the category-based selection. For students, if you are a student in Canada, you're looking to immigrate, this is also the best time to start getting work experience in any of the category-based selection. And I would say, okay, I'll answer your questions after now. I would say that if you are a student, it's better for you to get that experience from any employer that can hire you remotely, because, you know, if you're working as a student, you can only work for 24 hours in a week, right? You can't work full time. But if you get an employer that can hire you remotely, there are lots of roles under social work that require counseling and does not require your physical presence. If you have the knowledge and the expertise and the experience to work in that capacity remotely for an employer, maybe the employer might be in the US, the employer might be in New Zealand, the employer might be in Australia, UK, Nigeria, wherever you can get that employment from. Working full-time as a student, then you can get that 6 months work experience while you're a student and jump into the express entry pool. Do not wait till when you finish your education before you start gaining the experience. Look at the category-based occupations. Which of the occupations do you think you can quickly start getting work experience in for the next 6 months? like I said, for a remote employer, because for a Canadian employer, it's just 24 hours and you need full-time continuous work experience to claim that. But for a remote employer, you can work full-time, right? Gain the experience, jump into the pool, and by the time you're finishing your education, there's a possibility of you even getting an invitation to apply and apply for permanent residence right away, instead of you waiting for when you complete your education before you start trying to gain the experience. That's, for me, that I feel that's a waste of time. So this is the best advice I can give for those who are students, for those who are outside Canada. Pivot, look for jobs outside, look and start learning French if it's possible. For those in Canada, switch occupations or look for an occupation that can be a part-time work for you to gain the experience so that you can switch your information inside the express entry pool. Okay, so I'll start taking your questions now. Today's session is quite brief, but I'll start taking your questions now, and I hope that you could learn one or two things from the answers I give. Okay, so question: I received an ITA from OIMP through skilled trade after I left Canada. Is it advisable to update my address in the express entry pool since I am no longer in Canada? So if you did get an invitation for OIMP through skilled trades, the question I will ask is, do you still have at least access to Canada? Do you have a visiting visa that can allow you come into Canada, in and out of Canada? Because that will determine if I should say you should go ahead and change your address or still maintain the same address. Because if you have a visiting visa to go in and out of Canada, then I would say you can maintain the address and come into Canada and remain in Canada as a visitor under a visitor's record, and then you can submit your application to get the OIMP, what do you call it now, nomination. But if you don't have a visiting visa, then it's going to be difficult. You may have to just change your address because you're no longer in Canada, right? If you had a visiting visa to come in, then I would say maintain the Canadian address. But if you don't have a visiting visa, then just change your address. Okay, you just responded saying that you have a visiting visa. Yes, if you have a visiting visa, maintain the address. Maintain your Canadian address, right? But they will still ask for proof of residency in Canada. So you have to show maybe proof of, if you have a driver's license, you have a lease agreement and all of that. And then you can still use your visiting visa to support your application. So you can maintain your address, but you still have to show proof of residency, which means you have to show that you have a lease agreement or a driver's license, something to show that you are still maintaining your residency in Canada. Okay. Next question: what if you have all the qualifications for the category base but CRS is low? So if your comprehensive ranking score is low and you have all the qualification for category base, then I would say you should start looking for another option. Another option outside the category based selection, maybe under the rural community immigration program, right? I would recommend that because if you're already in Canada, you could actually start reaching out to employers in those selected communities. That's even another advice I'm going to give. If you are already in Canada, just go to those communities. I think one person suggested, there was one live I did one time, and there was one community member that suggested that what he did was to meet the Chamber of Commerce for them to give him a list of the employers in that community. And then he started contacting the employers one by one. So if you are in Canada, same thing for outside Canada as well, both inside and outside. If you're in Canada, outside Canada, send an email to the people in charge of the RCIP. Let them give you a list of employers in that community, so that you can start reaching out to those employers one by one if they are willing to hire and also support your application for permanent residence. Because there are two things: there are employers that will hire you, but they don't want to support your application for PR. Whereas there are employers that will hire you and they will support your application for PR. So you have to do this background search. Don't wait for when they now create their website and start publishing jobs before you start reaching out to employers. You can start reaching out to employers now that they have not even put all those things in place yet, right? Reach out to the people in charge of the program. Let them give you a list of the employers, list of businesses in that location that are eligible to participate in this RCIP pathway, and then start contacting them one by one. I know it's not easy. I'm not coming here to tell you that it's easy or straightforward. No, it's not easy. To call one person, talk to them, get a feedback is very difficult for a lot of people. All right, so I'll move on to the next. Low CRS score, nursing NCLEX experience. How do we easily get a job offer or health path advantage? So if you're a nursing, if you have a nursing qualification, I can recommend one province where you can actually apply immediately. That's Morden, and it's called Manitoba. Modern immigration in the, is it, well, the name of the community is called Morden, and it's in Manitoba. So if you just Google Morden Manitoba, right, you would see that they are looking for nurses, but your English language scores must meet a certain threshold. So if you're in the express entry pool and you are a nurse, you're finding it difficult to get an opportunity to immigrate, I just mentioned one community that is looking for nurses from all over the world, and it's called Morden. Just go to their website. You will see the requirements. Their IELTS or language requirements, you must meet that requirement. If you don't meet that requirement, you can't apply. If you apply, you get what we call community recommendation. With that endorsement, you apply for Manitoba provincial nomination and you get selected. So, and this pathway does not require you to have a family member living in that community. If you have, fine, but if you don't have, it's still, it's still a good pathway for you who is a nurse. And then for Nova Scotia as well, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador, they're also looking for nurses as well, but you have to come and work as a, let's say, personal care attendant or continuing care assistant kind of job. So as a nurse, if you're struggling in the express entry pool, there are provinces like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador. I would also mention Ontario. There are some communities in Ontario that are looking for nurses to come and work as personal support workers, right? And continuing care assistants. It's just for you to look out for those communities and then apply to them. Even British Columbia as well. So I've mentioned like 4 provinces: Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, Ontario, and British Columbia. Then plus Manitoba that has that modern immigration for just nurses and doctors. But for nurses, it's from all over the world. For doctors, they specify the countries that should apply in that community. Okay. Next, someone that studied accountancy but is working as a nursery teacher, early childhood educator for 4 years now, what profession would you advise you put during the express entry? So if you're working as an early childhood educator, you should put your early childhood educator experience in your express entry profile, right? If you have evidence, if you have proof that you're working as an early childhood educator, put that experience in your express entry. I think the tier code is 42202. I think so. Yeah, 42202 thereabout. Yeah, so that is it. You people don't have questions today or what? It's like there is no question today. I don't know, maybe the timing is too late, but it's good for me, Sha, because I was actually trying to meet up with something. Okay, another question. Can a student who has 10 years experience in teaching before apply for experience? So if you have 10 years experience in teaching, you can apply for the category-based selection, because they are looking for primary school teachers, secondary school teachers, as long as you have the experience, 10 years experience within the last 3 years, right? So another thing you should know is this about category-based selection. This program was established in 2023. They made the announcement around, is it March or April? I think March in 2023. And that was when it was established. So typically, they said your experience must be within 3 years before the program was established. So your experience must be within 3 years before the program was established. So if it was established around March 2023, you have to count backwards. When was your experience? Let's say you were a teacher in 2015. Now you want to, 2015 is 10 years. Now you were a teacher in 2015 and then you left teaching to something else, maybe administration, and then from administration to something else, maybe logistics and all of that, and then something else. And because they have now selected teaching or education as one of the occupations that are eligible for the category-based selection, you now remember, oh, I was a teacher in 2015. This is an opportunity for me to get my PR. I'm sorry, they will refuse that application. You know why? Because the program was established in 2023, and they said your experience must be at least 3 years before the program was established. I'm repeating it again. Your work experience that you want to claim for the category-based selection, not for the general express entry. General express entry has its own requirements. The experience you want to claim for the category-based selection, you must have had that experience 3 years before the category-based selection program was established. So if you had your experience in 2015, 2016, 2017, you do not qualify. If you had your experience in 2019, 2018, you do not qualify. But if you had your experience between 20, let's say, okay, 2020, 21, 22, right? 2021 to, is it 2020 or 2021? I don't know. Those, like between that year, 3 years, just count 3 years backwards from 2023, count it backwards. If your experience falls within that range, then fine. Then if your experience falls after that range, after 2023, you gained your 6 months work experience, then you're good to go. Okay. So next question. Please, I'm studying an addiction and mental health certificate. Yes, you are. If you get a job offer as a support worker, you are eligible for express entry. You are. Okay. Next question. Oh, announcements, because yes, the announcements, they tire us. They are changing announcements every day. We just get tired. Okay. Does a medical administrative assistant with 18 months postgraduate work experience in Toronto with French language have a chance to get ITA, or do I need to change my profession? So what is your French language course? Probably you just joined. I mentioned that if you have French language skills, on your express entry, you must put your French language as the primary language. That should be your primary language. If you put English as your primary language, you will not be selected for the French category draw. So you must put French as the primary language. And that's subject to if your French scores are high enough, higher than your English language scores, right? If your French scores are higher than your English language scores, then put your French language as your primary language. And then when they do a draw, if your scores are high enough, they will select you. The last draw they did was 410. I believe it will still come down lower than that 410. So for you that is a medical administrative assistant, still maintain your profession as long as your French language scores are high enough. Like I said, high enough. By the time you create your express entry profile, switch the primary language from English to French. Make your first language score French, and then your secondary language score English. That is the only way you can get an invitation to apply on that express entry. So yeah, so if you fit this scenario that I mentioned, then you don't need to change your profession. You can still maintain your profession. So that reminds me, the only people that cannot change profession or switch professions are people with French language skills. Every other person, you are the mercy of IRCC. So if today IRCC is saying we only need social workers, we only need doctors, we only need tradespeople, it means if you don't find yourself in this category of occupation, you have to change your occupation. So the only people that cannot change or that do not need to change their occupation are people with French language skills. Okay. Next question. I school in Ontario, open an EE with NOC 11202 as my primary occupation. I'm presently working in the Alberta as a database analyst project. Is it possible to get a PMP in Alberta? Yes, it's possible to get a PMP in Alberta under the accelerated take pathway. Accelerated, that's the only way. As in, if you schooled in another province and you are now in Alberta working, the only way you can get Alberta provincial nomination, not only, there are two ways. For those who schooled outside Alberta, is number one, the accelerated tech pathway, and number two, the rural renewal stream. Now, since you studied you're currently working as a database analyst, you must get a job offer from a tech company for you to qualify for the accelerated tech pathway. I'm repeating it again. Your job offer must be from a tech company, not just an ordinary company, a tech company. It has to be a tech company that you're working for you to be eligible for the accelerated tech pathway, and you must have lived in Alberta for at least 6 months. Because by the time you create your expression of interest profile, it will ask you questions. Where have you worked in Alberta for 6 months? You answer yes. Have you worked in another province for more than 6 months? If you answer, if your work experience in Alberta is not up to 6 months, you have to choose the next selection, and that's what will reduce your scores. And you know, with what they are doing these days, they are doing draws based on your scores in the expression of interest for Alberta. So, like I said, you qualify for the accelerated tech pathway, and your job offer must be from a tech company. And then you must at least have 6 months work experience in Alberta. Okay, next question. Can a caregiver apply? I don't know for which one you're referring to. Please give me more details on what you're referring to in terms of caregiver applying. What about if I can come in as a student to study personal care attendant in Nova Scotia? Can I also enter the pool? So if you come to study personal care attendant in Nova Scotia, right, it doesn't stop you from entering the pool. But the question is, will your work experience be eligible for express entry? Because there are some work experience that are not eligible for express entry. Any work experience or work occupation that falls under NOC code 4, 5, and 6, you cannot create an express entry profile with that. Your experience must fall within 0, 1, 2, 3 for you to be able to create an express entry profile. So you can get admission, study personal care attendant, but if your job offer does not fall under tier 0, 1, 2, 3, you cannot create an express entry profile. Or you can create an express entry profile for other experiences that falls under 0, 1, 2, 3. But if the job offer is a 4, 5, 6, you cannot use it on your express entry. If not, it will kick you out. The system will just tell you ineligible. Okay, I have an open work permit and just got a job in the trades in the EE. My point is 3115. As I don't have scores for age, what can I do? I'm based in BC. So if you got a job offer in trades in EE and you are based in British Columbia, they also have provincial nomination for trades, construction trades. So you have to look at the kind of trades. If your occupation is part of the BC PMP trades occupation that they are looking for, right? If your occupation is part of the BC PMP trades, then quickly create your expression of interest for BC. And you know, for BC, you have to, the further you are away from Vancouver and where else? I won't say Victoria. Vancouver, yeah, Victoria. Anyway, Vancouver, Victoria. The further you are away, the more points you get based on your location. And you also need to know that your job offer comes with must come with an endorsement. That's your employer must endorse you when you're applying for provincial nomination. But it doesn't stop you from creating a profile, right? You can go ahead and create your profile, but check whether your occupation is part of the BC PLP construction, because they have priority occupations in BC: healthcare, construction, technology, education, and which one again? These are the 4 I'm remembering now. But I know that construction occupations are part of the priority occupations in British Columbia. Okay. Next question. What about the student studying economics in York University? Is there any NOC code in the express entry? If you're a student and you have prior experience before you came into Canada as a student, then you can use your prior experience to create your express entry profile. You do not need to wait till you finish your program in the university before you create your express entry profile. And then if you're also a student and you are working for an employer remotely, I'm mentioning it again, you can also create a profile with the, what do you call it now, with the job title you're using to work remotely. Okay. Should the accompanying letter for a gift deed be public notarized? It's subject, depends. Some people notarize it, some people don't, and they still accept it, right? Some people notarize it, some people don't, and they accept it. But best bet, just to rule out any issue of doubt from the visa officers, I would say you should go ahead and notarize it. Okay. I did the French test last November and got a band 6. Which of the jobs can I apply for so that I can be qualified for? So you can apply for any jobs. Check the rural communities under Francophone immigration, right? Check the rural communities and see if there is any job that aligns with you. I already mentioned earlier that you can contact the people in charge of the program in those communities to get a list of employers or businesses in that area so that you can start contacting the employers one by one. So, I mean, if you have French language skills and there are employers looking for French language, people with French language skills, you can go ahead and contact them. There's also Destination Canada, which is also French. I mean, it's a French program anyway, as in program that they use in hiring French people with French language skills. I'm just mixing things up. So Destination Canada is an IRCC program where they have either a quarterly session, virtual session, even in-person session where Canadian French employers are looking for French candidates to hire. So you have to register with Destination Canada, and when they want to do their virtual sessions, you get a notification to attend. You will meet French employers in that virtual job fair session. And then if you're able to get a job offer, you can come into Canada without LMIE. This is one pathway that doesn't even require LMIE if you have French language skills. Okay, next question. I have BS in psychology here in Nigeria, and I'm working as health, safety, and environment officer in Nigeria. What job category will you recommend, and what is the procedure? So, psychology, I think psychology, occupation for psychology was included as part of the occupations under the category-based selection for healthcare. Now, you said you're working as a health, safety, and environment. Sadly, that occupation is not in demand in Canada. But if you're working as a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, or any psychologist, you're working as a psychologist, mental health, and all of that, that occupation is listed as part of the occupations in demand. I mentioned earlier that the memo that they used in announcing these new occupations stated in Canada applicants only. For now, we don't know whether they will consider people who are outside Canada. Once they start considering people who are outside Canada, there's a possibility of also getting an invitation to apply. But your work experience is not in psychology. And I said that your current work experience is not in demand. So you have to do something related to the qualification you have. That you must at least get a job offer or be working in your occupation as a psychologist for you to, probably get an invitation when they consider people who are outside Canada. Okay. Is it until I get a job offer before I can apply for express entry? No, you don't need to get a job offer before you apply. You can, if you have the work experience already, you can actually create your express entry profile. Wife is a French lecturer in Nigeria. Any job for her? She can search for French lecturing jobs in Canada, or French tutoring jobs in Canada, or French teaching jobs in Canada that can bring her in. Like I said, anything French, the job offer is LMIA exempt. The employer does not need to pay $1,000 to ESDC for you to come in. They only need to give you a job offer and then apply for the LMIA exemption, and then your wife can apply for work permit. So if your wife is a French teacher, she's very good in French, let her look to all the schools in Canada, all the public schools in Ontario, Manitoba, all of them, they are looking for French teachers. If she's able to get a French teaching job, she can come in to start working as a French teacher. She does not need LMIA to apply for her work permit. Okay. Okay, French score was 6. Okay, sorry. You have to push your French score to be higher than your English score. But you can still switch it and see what your potential scores are like. As in, switch to French, see what your scores are. If your scores are very low, like lower than 410 that they did, the last draw was 410. If it's lower than 410, then you have to switch back to English and try to retake the French again and get very high scores in French. Recommend websites for jobs for the Francophones. Well, okay, I've not really thought about it. Probably something I have to do research on. I'll probably research job search sites for French people. 4 months. Okay, that's fine. You need 6 months work experience to be eligible for the category-based selection. 6 months, minimum 6 months work experience. Okay. Can I use 2 part-time jobs to create my EE profile inside Canada? 2 part-time jobs. What they are looking out for is the hours. Are the jobs the same? Are they related? Let's say you're working as administrative assistant for company A. You're also working as administrative assistant for company B. They are the same jobs, but different companies, right? You can combine the hours. So they are looking out for hours, the hours you've worked. It's not by the nature of the job, it's the hours you've worked. But although Express Entry Federal Skilled Worker Program requires full-time continuous work, not part-time. But there's part-time, but the hours, right? Look at the hours you've worked. Okay. So let me answer some few more questions and then we'll call it a day. I don't want to stay for too long today. I got a job offer from a rural community in Alberta. Unfortunately, they say they cannot endorse me since the participating community has paused, although they are offering me an employment letter. Please, I'll try to tell you guys, please look out for yourselves. This is a game of getting your PR. Don't be sentimental to any employer that is not willing to endorse you. You have to be selfish, like selfish in the terms of, if the employer will not endorse me, I will not waste my time staying with this employer, even if I just got the job offer today. If you got the job offer today and they are not willing to endorse you, start looking for another employer immediately. Don't be loyal to anybody that does not want to endorse you. So if they're not willing to endorse you, look for another person that can endorse you and you move. Because I mean, they don't want to support you. Why would you want to slave yourself for them? If they don't want to support you, they should take their job away. You look for someone that will support you. All right. Sadly, you can't utilize the offer and the letter. Look for another person that can support you. If you open an express entry profile with NOC 222 help desk support and you now have a 6-month work experience under 21220 cybersecurity, would one need to change? Yes, you need to change your NOC. So if you, let's say you are working as help desk now, like your example, and then you now have the 6 months work experience as a cybersecurity, please go ahead and change your NOC. Change your primary NOC because they will select you based on the primary NOC. So you change your primary NOC to the current job offer that is selected under the category-based selection. Like I said, it's your primary NOC. It should be your primary NOC that you're changing to. That you're changing. Can one with only a year plus virtual work experience with a company with US have an express entry profile? Yes. You can have 1 year work experience. Minimum requirement for express entry is just 1 year work experience. So this is even good. You have a virtual work experience with a company in the US, which is even good. I mean, go ahead and create your express entry profile and put that experience there. As long as they are going to give you a reference letter, right? And you have evidence of your salary payment entering your account, you are good to go. Okay. So, let me answer this question. As a nurse who applied for Manitoba provincial nomination in December 2023, waiting for approval and no response till express entry profile expired, but has created another one. Can it still apply? So apply for which one now? Are you referring to Morden? If you're referring to Morden, I'll say yes, go ahead and apply. So reach out to Manitoba. December 2023 is such a long time, and I know a lot of people who are in this same situation because Manitoba has been prioritizing only people who are in Manitoba and not people who are outside. But because your qualification or your experience is in nursing, which is an occupation that is in demand, I would say reach out to the Manitoba Immigration Office and let them know that you have been waiting for more than 1 year. Since December 2023, December 2024 is 1 year. You've been waiting for more than 1 year. And just confirm from them if they still want to consider you guys, or you should, I mean, look for something else so that you don't waste your time. Okay, can someone who wants to study at a community college qualify to bring their children to Canada? Yes, you can bring your children to Canada, but your spouse will not be able to get spousal open work permit, but they can get visitor's visa. Okay, I wish to know if someone who did nursing in Cameroon and is having 6 months experience can apply for the caregiver program. No, so are you in Canada? The caregiver program is open for those who are currently in Canada. If you're not yet in Canada, they said they will announce the date for those who are outside Canada. But if you are in Canada, yes, if you have a job offer, go ahead and get ready to apply for the March 31 program. If you have a caregiver job offer, the major requirement is having a caregiver job offer. And I mentioned I was going to do a webinar, but I'm still pausing on it because IRCC is just playing some funny games by not releasing all the information at once. And I know why they are doing that. It's like they are doing that because they want to just take some people who are taking advantage of people, right? They want to surprise them or shock them. At the same time, all of us, we are just wondering what's going on. You know, because some people are announcing caregiver pathway, yeah, Canada, blah, blah, blah. Some people are already collecting money from people to just bamboozle them. So IRCC is just dropping IRCC is just, my laptop fell. IRCC is just dropping the information in piecemeal. They'll come today, they'll announce, okay, this is that. Tomorrow, we'll bring more details soon. Just be watching out. Today is 9th of March. They've not provided the application documents and the guide and everything. So I mean, 9th of March, if the what do you call it now, the program will open 31st of March, what are they trying to do? They are trying to discourage people from falling into the hands of fraudsters. That is what I feel they are doing. And that's why they are bringing this information in piecemeal, or they are bringing the details in piecemeal. And that is why I have not said I will do anything until all the information is out. Then I will release the information concerning the webinar. all the all these other people that are making announcement, pay this, pay that, do this, do that, IRCC has not provided full details yet. So if you see somebody that is telling you this, that, please run away from them. The only thing I can recommend is if you can get a job offer, and it's actually for people who are in Canada right now. For people who are in Canada, people who are outside Canada, you can continue your job search. That's the only thing I can advise. Okay. What are the requirements for the education category draw? Must I be a licensed teacher in Nigeria with over 6 months experience? So requirements, at least you must have the educational experience, or sorry, I say experience, educational qualification. You must have the educational qualification to be able to support your work experience as a teacher or early childhood educator or instructor of persons with disability, right? If you have the educational qualification to support your experience, you're good to go. If you don't have the educational qualification but you have the experience, please try as much as possible to get at least a qualification in education to support your work experience, because the visa officers will be looking out for all these things. Because I know that a lot of people will come and say, oh, I'm a primary school teacher, I'm a secondary school teacher, I did biochemistry in my undergraduate days, but I've been teaching since. But you don't have a qualification in education and you don't have any training, right? So please quickly use this opportunity to go and get, if it is an online training, an online certification in education, please go ahead and get those qualifications and add them to what you have. Okay. Does the restoration of PGWP refusal affect one's PR future application? No, it does not. If you apply for restoration of status, especially if you're eligible, it doesn't affect your PR application. You can even have multiple application refusals and still apply for PR. It doesn't affect your PR application. If you change your primary NOC, will you still gain points for the previous NOC code since you are changing to cybersecurity? You don't get points for NOC. There is nowhere it is written that you will get points for NOC codes. The NOC codes is what they are. The NOC codes are codes given to occupations they are looking for, right? They are codes given to occupations Canada wants. So if you are a healthcare worker and you choose the NOC code that aligns with your occupation, it tells Canada that they are looking for you. What gives you points is your age, your educational qualification. If you studied in Canada, that falls under adaptability. If you have a sibling, it also falls under adaptability. Your language scores, right? If you have French and English language, those are the things that gives you points. Your NOC code does not give you points. French schools needing French teachers. You can just do Google search of or go to each school's website. Okay, so for each province, you have the school division. There are school divisions, right? You have, let's say, Ontario School Division, then Ontario is the province. You have the school division per location. So I don't know which example I would use now. If I use Lagos as an example, so in Lagos State, let me use Lagos as an example. Probably a lot of people will understand. I know there are some people who are not from Nigeria, but let me just use Lagos as an example. So you are from Lagos State. You have the Lagos State Schools Board. Lagos State Schools Board is in charge of all the schools in Lagos State. Now, under the schools board, you also have different local governments. Let's say Surulere local government. I'm using that as an example. Now, all the schools in Surulere local government, they have one school division, right? And then if you're looking for a job, you have to go to that school division website to see the job opportunities that are available. So that's the simple example I can give so that you know how to do your job search. If you want to search, easiest way, Job Bank. Job Bank has all the jobs that have been advertised in Canada. There are also other job search sites like Worker Police. There's Indeed. There is you also have LinkedIn as well. And then you also have the government, the provincial government website. So because teaching is, apart from private schools, teaching is a government function. It's a function of the government. That's government owns it. They are the ones that hire people. You have to search the provincial website, the provincial job search website, for if to see if you have any opportunity that can bring you in, or any free job search opportunity in those provincial websites. Like Ontario, you have to search Ontario government jobs website, Manitoba job search site, that's Manitoba government job search site, New Brunswick government job search site. Probably what I will do is I'll just do a list of all the provincial government websites and then put the list on the community tab. I'm owing a lot of things. This one that I'm saying that I will do now is only God that will it's only God that will help me. Okay, so probably I would come up with the website for each provincial government. If you're a teacher, you can go to the provincial government website and search for job opportunities. Or you can search for private schools. In fact, the fastest way, because with anything with government, you have bureaucracy, protocols, and all of that, right? But with private settings or private schools, you don't have those bureaucracy in place. So the best advice I can give is, if you don't want anything bureaucracy disturbing your job search or disturbing your opportunity of coming to Canada, focus your job search on the private schools. There are lots of private schools around Canada, like private Christian schools, private Catholic school. No, Catholic school is not, Catholic is under Catholic church, not, is not private anyway. Private schools, just check any of the private schools, and if you see opportunities to work as a teacher in any of the private schools, you can, get a job offer from them and you can start coming in. Okay, so I just have 5 more minutes and I will end this session. Please bear with me if I don't answer all of your questions, right? Please bear with me. I'm in Alberta, studied business administration. I am 40 plus. Which pathway can I take? Okay, so if you studied business administration, the best recommendation I can give is to look for job opportunities in the areas that Alberta is concentrating on. And I'll tell you, if you don't mind, if you can get a job offer as a law enforcement person, there's the law enforcement pathway. I know law enforcement, not everybody likes law enforcement, but if you can get a job offer as a law enforcement person, you can qualify for the law enforcement pathway. The hospitality sector or the hospitality pathway is actually saturated. It's saturated right now in Alberta, but if you can get a job offer in the hospitality sector, you can also qualify. Then the healthcare category, I mean, you are studying business administration, so healthcare would require another educational qualification for you to be able to qualify under the health category. Then the accelerated tech pathway. So if you get a job offer in a tech company as a tech worker, there are different occupations that were selected under the accelerated tech pathway. So you just have to look out for those occupations. And if you can get a job offer in any of those occupations listed in a tech company, like I said, it has to be a tech company, not a general company, then you qualify for the accelerated tech pathway. Then you also have the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. Get a job offer in any of the rural communities. Make sure that they are going to endorse you. If they don't want to endorse you, then you don't need to waste your time with those places. Look for somewhere else that they can endorse you. If they can endorse you, you apply for what you call it now, provincial nomination under the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. So these are the options I've selected for you. Just look at the ones that you feel you align with, and then start working towards that. Okay. Does a nurse certified and working in the US have to go through all the Canadian hassles to work in Canada? Sadly, yes. A nurse who is certified in the US, although you may not experience as much hassles as other people do in other countries, or maybe from Africa or maybe Nigeria and all of that. You may not experience those hassles, but they would give you more priority. Like if they are prioritizing people, they'll prioritize you as number one. And if you're looking for a job, the best province I can recommend is British Columbia. British Columbia is always going to the UK to go and do recruitment events for nurses. And if you want to get a nursing job offer in BC, there's a website I'll recommend. It's called Health Match BC. I don't know, they've changed the name. I think was it last year or 2 years ago? They've changed the name, but if you still put healthmatchbc.org or just healthmatchbc on the website, on Google search, it will pull the website up for you and you can get a job offer. If you get a job offer, they might just give you a provisional license to start working, and from there you can even apply for what you call it now, the health authority stream, and then get your PR. But the hassles are not as much as those, like I said, it's not as much as those coming from Nigeria compared to, I mean, you already, your work experience already meets the Canadian standard. So there are a lot of things they will just waive for you. Probably just write 1 or 2 exams and you're good to start practicing in Canada. Okay, please, where can I apply for Atlantic Immigration Program? So Atlantic Immigration Program, they publish designated employers on each of their websites. All you need to do is just get a job offer from a designated employer, and then you apply for provincial endorsement. With the endorsement, you apply for permanent residence. So you have to go to each website. New Brunswick, they have the portion for Atlantic Immigration Program. Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. These are the four provinces. Okay, so I have just 1 more minute, and after that, I will call it a day for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please bear with me if I don't answer your questions. I know that I've answered a lot of other questions. I'm a second-year college student, and my spouse and kids have 3 visa refusals. What is their chances? What was the reason for the refusal? What did they state on the refusal letter? If you're able to mention what they stated on the refusal letter, I'll be able to advise on how best you can address the reasons for the refusals. Okay, for one to be qualified for health care category, is it compulsory to be licensed and have a degree in it, or only the work experience will suffice? I mean, most of the health occupations they listed there is no way you can work apart from, I think massage therapist is still listed there. Massage therapist is the only one that I can see that is still there, where you can have the experience, right? And then the educational qualification, I don't know whether it's a big deal. So what you would do is this: for each health occupation under the health category based, go to the ESDC tier code for that particular occupation and look at the employment and education requirements. If the employment and education requirement requires that the person must have a qualification in that occupation, then you know that it is compulsory. But if it does not state that somebody must have an educational qualification in that occupation, then you see that it is not compulsory. So you have to pick the tier code, go to ESDC, put the tier code there, let it pull out the information or the details about that particular NOC code, and then look at the employment and educational requirement for that particular occupation. Okay, so let me just take 1 more last question, and then we'll call it a day. For the qualifications mentioned, can postgraduate diploma in early childhood education count? Yes, postgraduate diploma in early childhood education counts. I mean, it counts perfectly, right? It's a perfect fit. Okay, it's still you that I enjoy best because you're number 1 that joined me. That's why I'm picking this question again. Okay, you mentioned that we should get a certificate to back the experience up. Can postgraduate? I think I've answered this question. Yes, a postgraduate diploma in early childhood education counts with the years of work experience. So you are working as a teacher and you have a PGD in early childhood education, you are a perfect fit for the category-based draw selection for education. You are a perfect fit because you have both the work experience and the educational qualification to support your work experience. Okay, so that's all I can take for today. I'm so sorry if I didn't answer all of your questions. Probably what I will do is, I know I've not been doing videos lately, but what I will do is I'll go through the questions that I was not able to answer today and probably do a video on them, just like I did for December when I did that 30 days marathon. Probably that's what I will do. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me, for taking time from your evening rest, your weekend rest, to join me on this YouTube live. I'm still being lazy in creating videos. Please bear with me. I just feel that if I come and talk, it's easier for me to answer a lot of questions than just sitting down, do video editing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that one is taking so much time from me. So it's easier for me to just have a live session where I can answer your questions. I don't know whether I will continue with this. Probably I should just continue with doing YouTube lives than doing YouTube videos. Maybe you suggest for me which one. Should I continue with YouTube lives, or should I just go back to my YouTube video and speak plenty grammar? And meanwhile, my other YouTube channel that I said I was going to start this year, the time is counting for me. I've not done anything yet. Please, you guys should just bear with me. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a lovely weekend, and hope to see you soon. All right. Bye.